Now, the issue of illegal immigrants in South Africa continues to be a concern. There are growing calls to urgently address the border management problem. Some are of the view that the Home Affairs Department is better suited to manage border security. eNCA's Kevin Brandt is following that story for us, and he joins us now live for more details. Kevin, as you've been up and about speaking to different stakeholders about the issues of our porous borders, what are the different voices telling you?
Very good afternoon to you, Masejo. Earlier today I spoke to David Peddle. He's a former colonel from the South African National Defence Force with about 34 years experience, in particular also dealing with the management at a border level. Also highlighting some of the key issues today that hinders that authority to very efficiently, rein in the issue of porous borders. He highlighted in particular budget constraints, also saying that manpower is a huge issue, saying that in the region of about 20,000 officials will be needed to patrol at least the land borders of the country, and also saying that it's not too late, that there are still things that government and the authorities can do and roll out to arrest the unauthorized movement of goods as well as people throughout the country's borders. And one of the other issues that he also mentioned is that there were very specialized equipment planned to be rolled out as part of the surveillance and the law enforcement efforts there at the border crossings, and that still hasn't happened. But just take a listen to what he told me earlier, Masejo.
It's actually interesting. Just a quick one. I was researching this program, and I discovered that the up to 5 variations of the South African national borders on the internet at this stage. Whereas if you look at the nature of border control in South Africa, it's a very complex exercise, and we have, in order to achieve that, some 22 government departments involved in border control matters at the ports of entry and along the border line. Now, that in itself is quite complex, and in order to control that, we have appointed an organization called the Border Management Agency to control that, run overall by the Department of Home Affairs, which many people have accused of being the most incompetent and inept department in the country. Now, the controlling of the borders means that those organizations at the border posts need to be run, structured and controlled by the BMA, and that is a major problem.
And was anything said, Kevin, about whether or not centralizing the functions of border control and border security with Home Affairs, whether or not that will perhaps assist us?
Well, it didn't go into a lot of detail with regard to that specific issue, Masejo, just mentioning that there are moves being undertaken by government, the Border Management Authority that came into effect now in April this year. We know it's still in its infancy, and that work is still being done to roll out some of the measures that will help to better control the country's borders there. So Mr. Peddle did not go into a lot of detail with regard to that. But joining me now is the director at the School of Public Leadership at Stellenbosch University's Business School, Professor Zwelenzima Ndevo, and he's here to talk to me a bit more about some of the issues at play here. Professor, thank you so much for your time and for joining us here on eNCA. Can you tell me what is the effect of lacking border management on South Africa?
I think it is critical. If you don't have a border management system in place that is effective, it literally means that you don't know who comes into the country, you don't know what goods and services comes into the country. That could compromise the security of the country. It could also compromise the economy, because illegal goods might come in, counterfeit goods might come into a country, even weapons might come into the country and you don't take stock of. So it is critically important for one to have that.
Professor, there's also talks now that more function should be put under Home Affairs. We've also seen some of the measures that's been rolled out by government, the Border Management Authority, to name but one, where those different departments have been grouped under one roof, so to speak, in a bid to better manage the borders. Do you feel that there is capacity, leadership, as well as the ability to turn things around for us?
I think firstly the suggested approach to put this under Home Affairs, it is the best practice. That's what happens everywhere in the world, and I think it's a process in the right direction. But as to whether there's capacity, that's another question. We know that they lack capacity. Home Affairs is able to account for people that are here legally, South Africans, non-South Africans. Home Affairs is able to take stock of people moving out of the country. So it is the right department to have that, to manage those borders. We need to capacitate it. In order for you to have an effective border management system, you essentially need three things to be in place. You need to have infrastructure that is very good, that is in place. You secondly need to have the technology that adapts to the changing needs of people either traveling into the country or bringing goods into the country or taking goods outside of the country. And the last one, which is critical, is personnel. Personnel that is correctly trained, personnel that has the requisite skills and expertise to manage a process of this nature, that is also ethical, that would not be easily corrupt by people with other intentions.
Professors, thank you so much for your time. Masego, that was Professor Zwelenzima Ndevo. He's the director here at the School of Public Leadership at Stellenbosch Business School here in Bellville in Cape Town. Masego.
All right, Kevin Brandt live for us in Cape Town. Thank you. Let's leave it there for now.